I suspect all of you know conceptually that keyboard shortcuts are a better idea than using the mouse. That you become far more efficient in Excel and much faster in Excel if you take advantage of keyboard shortcuts than if you're still relying on the mouse. And yet I suspect that many of you are much more comfortable with the mouse. It's a much more intuitive way to do things in Excel. But once you get a handle on some of these shortcuts, you become much more efficient and effective. So it's worth the time to learn. And really you want to use as many shortcut keys as possible. You'll see that as we go through our modeling exercises, we are going to build an entire 3-statement model with virtually no usage of the mouse. So to that end, most of the shortcuts that we're going to go through, rather than me sitting here and listing a whole bunch of shortcuts right now, we're going to go through a lot of these shortcuts in the context of the course. But as part of your course download kit, I've actually provided you several sheets that I encourage you to print out and have them handy. This is the Excel 2013 reference sheet. These are the 2013 shortcuts. And we've identified basically what we think represent the most common and useful shortcuts that exist by category. We're going to go through virtually all of these in the context of the course. And so it's worth just kind of having handy and just getting more and more comfortable with these. There's really what we think is a manageable amount here. There's about 60 or 70 shortcuts in here. Once you learn them, you are officially a power user of Excel. And you'll be shocked at how much quicker you do things and how much these shortcuts can really replace any work, any mouse work. We've also included Excel 2010 and a 2010 reference sheet. So those using Excel 2010, they're virtually identical to 2013. Actually, not much change by way of shortcuts. And by the way, for both reference sheets, we've included on the second page and sort of the back page, a Boost Excel add-in reference sheet. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Boost is an Excel add-in that, depending on your subscription level, many of you have received as part of enrollment, in which case I highly encourage you to install that ahead of this course because we're going to be using Boost. You don't absolutely have to have it because everything that we do with Boost, we're going to walk through how you would do it with native Excel functions, but it's going to dramatically make you more efficient when you're building these models. It's specifically designed for financial modeling and making things faster in financial modeling. So both have it. For those that are using earlier versions of Excel, we've also included a 2010. I didn't actually print it out for you to see, but it's in your download kit. I don't have it up for you to see, but it's in your download kit, a 2007 version of Excel, as well as a 2003 version of Excel for those that are going way back. Some companies, believe it or not, are still on Excel 2003. And last but not least, we've got a Mac version of Excel. Let me open that up. We've got a Mac version of Excel, and here we've included both 2008 and 2011, where there's differences. We've identified them in terms of shortcuts, as well as some general Windows shortcuts for the Mac. And last but not least, this is going to be very important for any Mac user who's starting up this case study right now. I encourage you to look at this sheet and get your Macs set up optimally for Excel. You actually have to go into system preferences and really just kind of tweak a few things to get your shortcut keys working effectively to sort of replicate the experience of someone using a PC, so you can use the control and spacebar for highlighting columns and using control and the arrow keys. There's some things you want to do, and I encourage you to do that now. Hit the pause button and just get this set up before you start. Of course, those that are using Macs, virtualizers for Macs like Parallels and things like that, you're going to be able to really recreate all the shortcuts for the PC, so you don't necessarily need these shortcuts. There are two categories of shortcuts that we want you to get familiar with as part of this course and throughout this course. One is just universal shortcuts, shortcuts that get you to navigate around things like Windows Explorer and general Microsoft Office forms. And then there's Excel shortcuts. So in terms of universal shortcuts, of course, we're going to use it throughout the course, but let me just kind of get you familiarized with this. I'm actually going to open up Windows Explorer. And to open up Windows Explorer, the shortcut is the Microsoft logo. Everyone that's using a PC has a little Microsoft logo button. It's the Windows button called. And holding that down, hit E, and that'll open up Windows Explorer. And now using the arrow keys, again, nothing, you don't need the mouse. So a few things that you can sort of think about. Again, holding down the Microsoft logo button, the Windows logo button, and then press the up arrow, you maximize the window. And this applies to just to Excel files. It applies to really anything. These are universal shortcuts. Continue to hold down the Microsoft logo button. holding down the down arrow, you minimize it. Then you can also bring it back up using the up arrow. So up arrow goes up, right arrow puts it on this side, left arrow puts it on the left side, and you get the idea. Once you're inside an active window, whether it's a window like this or an Excel form or whatever, you can jump clockwise by hitting the tab key from field to field. You can sort of jump around. Now, if I want to go to this pane, for example, if I want to go back from here and I want to go to Dropbox where I keep all my files, I can hit Shift Tab. That takes me counterclockwise, and that brings me into here. I'm going to hit Enter to get into this area, and then I'm going to hit Tab to go clockwise in, and I get inside to WSP Course Materials. This is where we keep a lot of our different course files. And again, with the arrow key, I can move around. Enter gets me inside a cell. I can also hit letters to go to folders. So if I hit the letter, say L, that takes me to the LBO courses, and I can keep hitting L. It'll take me through all the L folders. And you can basically get around once you get into a certain area. So let's say I'm going to go into here, and if I want to delete, I hit the delete button. If I want to go back up the folder tree, I just hit backspace. Backspace sort of gets me back out. And so this is sort of basic navigation around forms. Let me minimize this. That was the Microsoft logo down arrow. And now I'm going to go into Excel, and I'm going to sort of show you just general navigation around an Excel form. It's the same story. Basically, any sort of form in Microsoft Office is the same. I'm going to hit Control 1. That opens up the Format Cells dialog box, which we're going to talk about throughout the course. And I just want to show you navigation here. You end up active in the tabs, and using the arrow keys, left, right arrow keys, I can move around. If I want to dive in, let's say I want to format this cell. And it should be noted that the Format Cells dialog box allows you to really apply any sort of formatting to a cell or a range of cells. You don't have to go into the ribbon. And actually, let me zoom out of here. I just want to show you something. I actually minimized the ribbon, but let me maximize the ribbon just so you can see that this is the familiar ribbon that has all the keys. I rarely touch this because I've become so accustomed to using shortcuts that I've minimized it. You can always minimize it by going in here and clicking minimize the ribbon. Those of you who are just getting used to Excel, I would just keep it on. So now, and of course you can apply any formatting you want from the ribbon, but you need to use the mouse. You don't actually technically have to use the mouse. You can hit Alt button and then start sort of spidering around with these keys. It's just not very pragmatic. If you want to apply formatting, it's much easier to hit Control 1, go into Format Cells, and like I said, if I want to apply a number formatting, let's say I want to give this 3 decimal places, and let's see what else. I hit Tab to move from form element to form element. I get into the number box. Let's say here I hit Tab again, and I using the up arrow and down arrow keys, or I could literally just type in the number. I could just type in the number 3. Doesn't matter which way you do it. You can apply 3 decimal places. Notice, by the way, when Excel, or in general, when Microsoft underlines certain elements, it means you don't have to tab to it. You can also just directly jump to it by hitting Alt and then the underlined letter. So Alt U will get me to the 1,000 comma separator. If I want a 1,000 comma separator, oops, where did I go here? If I want to go to the 1,000 comma separator, I can just keep hitting Alt, holding down Alt. I can hit the letter U over and over again, and it toggles back and forth. And of course, I can also use the spacebar. So spacebar enables me to check and uncheck form elements. Now I'm going to go in here. I want my negative numbers in parentheses, and I hit OK, and I'm good to go. As we'll get to in short order, any formatting you want to apply can be achieved through these areas. And for those that are wondering, how do I get back into the number tab? So I can go to these others, just hit Shift Tab, and you can get back into the number tab. Okay. Escape to get out of this form. So those are the primary universal shortcuts that I wanted you to just kind of be aware of before we even started, and just understand that as part of your course download pack, I've also got an Excel file. I've included an Excel file for you here that's basically comprehensive. So if you don't want to, hang on to laminated cheat sheets, we've got an Excel file here that contains general forms shortcuts for the Mac, shortcuts for Mac Excel, general Windows shortcuts, all the, we've talked about just a few of the shortcuts here, but you can see there's many more. If you want to minimize all windows at once, you hit that Windows key and then D. If If you want to activate the start menu, you just hit the Windows key. Here it is. I just activated the start menu. So there's a whole bunch of shortcuts. We're going to use some of them, but not all of them. So they're all listed here, so you can go in and check it out. And of course, there's all the other ones. Boost shortcuts, boost most used. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. So this Excel sheet is a really handy sheet because no matter what version of Excel you have, and no matter whether you're using a PC or Mac, you can use this Excel sheet, this Excel workbook, and you'll find what's relevant for you.